Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Life to the Max. I'm Mike Max, and tonight's show has a little bit of a military feel to it. Chris Cooper was a pilot in Vietnam. He knows all about taking flights on a helicopter. He's turned it into a career since then, overcoming adversity to open an interesting flight school. Then later, you've heard about Devil's Tower. Hollywood helped create some majesty about it. We'll give you a tour. But speaking of tours, our first piece is about the USS Midway. Parked just off the coast in San Diego, it is a must-see to understand where we have been, meaning all that enjoy the United States. Dan Monskey took a tour.
Drama and intensity of naval battles. They're an unforgiving and destructive endeavor our government has hoped to avoid by developing a strong navy. One lesson the naval commanders of World War II learned is the overwhelming effectiveness of air supremacy. To stealthily bring the battle to your enemy from above in any location. At sea, that means a mobile air force on an aircraft carrier.
Midway was conceived before Pearl Harbor. It took 5 years to design, 17 months to build, largest ship in the world for a decade, and missed World War II by 1 week. It was awarded its name during construction. After the Battle of Midway, the stunning victory that turned the tide of the war in only 6 minutes, in 1942, the government decided to name this ship that was under construction the Midway in honor of that victory. Midway was an engineering marvel. The world had never seen anything like it when it was commissioned in 1945. It dwarfed every carrier ever built. And for most people, they've never been aboard a carrier. They don't know what it takes to operate a ship like this, and they are stunned at the complexity, the training, the teamwork that takes place in thousands of compartments throughout the ship to make it functional.
I visited key sections of the ship to get a feel for life aboard this floating wonder.
Primary flight control is where we run air operations on an aircraft carrier, on the hangar deck, flight deck. Over my career, I had about over 300 landings, and a lot of that was as an instructor too. I probably had upwards of 600 landings total. You can look at the flight deck now, how big it is. It's about 1,000 feet long. We're looking at the landing area on the left, and on the right here is the takeoff area. So that's how we run our air operations. We launch airplanes on the bow. When their cycle is over, we bring them back and land on the stern of the ship.
So everything's flowing like a conveyor belt this way, off and on.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
That keeps everything kind of in order.
Yep, that's right. Catapult shoot them, your resting gear personnel land them.
How fast are the planes leaving and how fast are they coming in for cycles?
We can launch an airplane every 45 seconds on the bow. So we typically launch 15 to 20 at a time. They fly about an hour and a half. Then we launch the second one an hour and a half later, then the first group comes back and lands. So about every minute we can land an airplane.
Carriers are huge. The US Midway is 1,000 feet long. That's 1/5 of a mile. That's a lot of territory and activity to command.
Oh yeah, this is a city full of testosterone, man. I mean, you got this 4,300 sailors on this thing, the average age being about 19, 20, and it was like being in a small city. See where the bridge is right up here? That's where the captain's set, right up here. There's an area up here we call Vulture's Row. If you're up there and you're looking down here at this deck, during operations, it looks like somebody's took a stick, stirred up an ant bed, because everything is going different directions. You got airplanes going one way, tow tractors going another, people all over the place, and it looks like total, complete chaos. But every move is choreographed.
The flight deck is a fury of activity taxing the human mind and senses. There's the smell of fuels burning, the huge planes and vehicles scurrying every which way. There's the rush of wind on the air, or from the rear thrust of a powerful and dangerous engine roaring beyond belief. The need for effective communication is absolute.
Everything's done with hand signals. I get them here. I want to send an aircraft up the bow over here or onto the catapult. I bring them, I bring them, I bring them, I bring them. I look over there, there's another man standing over here with his hand in the air. I turn it over to him. While all this is going on, you got to be looking around constantly, because if you don't, you're looking at a tailpipe of one of these aircraft. And then the shooter will end up doing the, yeah, he's the one that shoots.
All just being done in a couple of seconds.
Quickly, yeah.
They're coming and going, and they got to get them out of the way so the next batch can come in.
Exactly, because you've got aircraft in the air that's got to land, but you got to get these aircraft off the deck in order to land the ones that are out waiting to land.
This intensity, focus, and dedication to duty does not just happen on deck. There is danger and an incredible array of other duties to be done on board this floating city at sea.
We're here in the 911 center of Midway.
What do you mean by 911?
Well, it's just like any other city on land. You know, there were emergencies.
What type of disasters might actually happen on board ship?
Midway is an extremely dangerous location, whether it has to do with flight deck accidents or industrial accidents down below. It was critical that the paramedics were available on an instant's notice, and it was here that those critical decisions were made throughout the ship. A lot of people don't realize aboard an aircraft carrier like the USS Midway, the sailors didn't wander all over the ship. If you didn't have business in a certain compartment, you had no business being there, including the flight deck. This was not a cruise ship. There were no portholes, no Lido decks, no spas. It was tough duty, and you were there for one reason only, and that was to support the mission of the day. Only about 5% of its population, crew of 4,500, were pilots. Everyone else had city-like jobs so that 5% could get into the air when the nation called upon them to do so. So there were barbers and cobblers and bakers and butchers and dentists and surgeons and jailers and judges. When you consider the logistics and the supplies necessary for a floating city at sea, it really staggers the imagination. The cooks prepared 13,500 meals a day. The barber shops, 80,000 haircuts every single year. The power plant of the engineering department produced 212,000 horsepower. It consumed about 100,000 gallons of fuel every single day. And remarkably, Midway's fuel economy was about 260 gallons to the mile. 260 gallons got you 5 boat lengths. 260 gallons, 5 boat lengths. Midway had 12 boilers feeding 4 two-story turbines that generated 212,000 horsepower, going back to propellers a football field and a half away. And the young men who stood here at these steam throttle boards made that speed happen on captain's orders.
Wow, the scale is incredible.
The scale, the power, the speed. At 42 miles an hour, that's plenty fast enough. When Midway was going full speed, it took 5 miles to stop.
What an incredible ship. The USS Midway was decommissioned in 1992 after 47 years of service. It is now a museum and no longer in the U.S. Naval Fleet, but is still a living ship, one of great history.
The USS Midway Museum has become the most visited floating ship museum in the world. And when you talk to the folks who come to visit, our guests, as well as myself, come away remarkably inspired by the devotion of those who serve our country. Their acts of devotion, service, dedication to the country, without a whole lot of recognition for many years, is something that motivates me every day to come to help create something that's worthy of their legacy and something that is worthy enough to inspire future generations as well.
Life to the Max is brought to you by LifeTouch, photography for a lifetime.